Hey there. All right, so I want to talk about ideological framing of reality. If you're ideological, I just really want to just implore people to please, at least be aware of if your beliefs are based on ideology as opposed to solid data. And maybe there's going to be some things where you don't know really how solid the data is, but it seems really unlikely that that would not be true. It's what you've been believing for a number of years, and it's what a lot of other people say is true. And so this is where it gets really hard to question it, but I really want people to at least consider what I believe to be true, which is that there's a degree of truth in everybody's perspective. That means that the conservative perspective, the right wing perspective, has a degree of truth, generally speaking, and down to specifics on specific issues. Same with the left, same with center, whatever. Every individual in what they believe, there's a degree of truth in it. So if what somebody believes is largely ideological, like if I believe that 50,000 black men per year are killed by police in the United States annually on average for the past 10 years. That is not true. But if I believe that to be true, regardless of why, like maybe some kind of weird ideological capture there, which is just too extreme because it's not 50,000 people. But is there a degree of truth in that? Yes, the degree of truth would be that while that exact number is incorrect, this person's the implication that a certain number there are a certain number of black men per year that are killed by police. My light just went out. So there's a degree of truth in it, right? Okay. You don't have to completely abandon your ideology. Okay. And I'm mostly talking to the left here, but it's true for everybody. The thing is that if you're basing too much of your beliefs, if your beliefs are largely based on ideological frameworks and not statistical or just data, numbers, actual really, really good studies that have been run, and then you get into the whole conundrum of cherry picking data and all that. But that aside, if your beliefs are based on ideology, you may have a inaccurate. The more ideological your views are, the more inaccurate your view of reality is likely to be in terms of actual reality. So just please, I implore you to just be aware of if you're basing your beliefs on ideology or not. What are you basing your beliefs on? Now, what we do is, unless we read a lot and know how to evaluate a study and do our own research and all of that, what the average person does is they formulate opinions based on the opinions of others who they think are trustworthy. Okay, so here's another situation. Here's a similar thing. Like, if your opinions are based on the opinions of others who you think are trustworthy, please evaluate if they're being ideological or not. Because remember, ideology is belief system. It's belief not based on fact necessarily. Okay, it's an ideology. An ideology. This might sound a little weird to some people. Ideology is basically the same thing as religion. It's a belief system not based on research or data or fact. It's a belief system based on that stems from the propensity of humans to be ideological because we are inherently as such, because we are inherently religious beings. In other words, spiritual beings who believe in something even though we don't know 100% based on data and research that it's true, that it's real, but we still believe it. And that's like hope and faith and all that. Okay, it's a good thing. Okay, but And there's somewhat new evidence, or fairly new, I believe, that there is good data now that showing, I think it's coming from specific research in evolutionary psychology, um, that we are inherently religious beings. We can't help it. Okay. So here's the thing that happens is that if you don't have a religion, you're going to latch on to something that is religious without potentially without realizing that it's religious. So you're going to be ideological, and in fact, the likelihood of forming beliefs based on ideology is probably increased if you don't have an actual religion, a concrete religion, because you're filling that void, because the brain has to think like that, because we think in stories. We think in stories, we think in mythologies, we think in narratives. That's how we work. We're like these creative, self-aware beings that that tell stories. That's how we dream, you know. Sometimes we see imagery in our heads. It's a feeling, but it informs a belief. It informs a sense of reality. None of this is a bad thing. I'm just saying, please, I implore you to be aware of if you're being ideological or not, right? Because we all are. We have that tendency. We are ideological, aka religious. We can't help it. Okay. And I just really encourage you to try to be aware as possible of how much of my beliefs are faith-based versus data-driven. Um, like I kind of have a religion, I suppose, right? And I suppose it's something along the lines of the one religion, the great mystery, the big kahuna, the enlightenment thing, the singular consciousness of the universe that embodies that gives rise to the material existence, which is a hell of a trick, you know, and that unifies all of us. And it appears that it is a unified sort of field type situation, um, and also it's beauty. So it has to be a belief in beauty, like this sort of religion of beauty, of the one consciousness, the one universe. I mean, um, I don't know. I believe in something along the lines of some kind of religion of beauty, because I am so damn critical of things like they should be this way. It would be better if it was this way. No, it shouldn't have been like that. That movie shouldn't have ended like that. Oh, it could have been so much better if they had actually had a true climax, a peak in the film with a massive emotional peak of the lead actor just having a total meltdown and just like screaming for 5 minutes or something. But no, they just had to have him just sitting there looking at the ocean, and then the film ended. Oh, so powerful. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, um, so that's kind of that art critic in me kind of correlates to this sort of belief in beauty, belief in optimal creative, um, whatever output potential, whatever. So, anyways, I'm gonna stop there, but because that was actually a pretty long video. I was supposed to be like 2 minutes, but it was actually 23 minutes. Woo. Um, so yeah, I hope some of that might have been useful. I'm sorry that I, don't have the stats really in front of me. I need to do better research. Like if I'm telling you people are inherently religious, I really should have that and be able to quote that. And I'm sorry about that. And I'll work on doing better on that. Um, be aware. Just be aware. if your beliefs are based on ideology, it's just a whole different, it's let's take another example. All right. Well, we'll do specific examples in other videos, because really this is a ramp up to me talking about climate change and other issues. So we'll see how that goes.